Last year I was able to drive the 2019 and 2020 Acura RDX. And after driving that vehicle, I came away very impressed with Acura. This week I've been driving the 2020 Acura MDX. This is the bigger 3-row SUV in Acura's lineup, and I'm really excited about it. If you know anything about me personally or the reviews that I've done, I like getting these 3-row SUVs for review because I have a larger family and I can really put them to the test. So without further ado, let's jump into the review. All right, so as far as exterior design goes, this has a distinctive look with lots of sharp lines and angles. It definitely has that Acura look, and thankfully they've gotten rid of that bird beak front grille, and now you get this really distinct, unique looking front grille design. With this A-Spec, you also get a unique sculpted front fascia. We get these jewel eye LED headlights. All around the vehicle, you get black on black chrome accents. So down here in the front fascia, you get these black and black chrome accents. The wheels are black chrome. We'll talk about those in just a second. You get black trim from the A pillar, B pillar, all the way back to the C pillar. And of course, black trim here in the rear with this spoiler and the rear fascia, which is also a special sculpted design for this A-Spec. So back to those wheels, these are dual 5-spoke 20-inch wheels, and they are that black chrome, which looks really good with this exterior color. Speaking of the exterior color, this is a special paint color. It's called Apex Blue Pearl. And again, it's a grayish with some blue tint. It looks really good on this vehicle. Now, this being an A-Spec, you do get that A-Spec badge on the front fender. No real special badges here on the front fascia, but it is a special design front fascia. And of course, here on the rear, you do get that A-Spec badge. You do get large dual chrome exhaust tips here. This, along with all the A-Spec trimming, really helps emphasize, from an exterior design standpoint, the sportiness of this SUV. Now let's really quickly open that hatch and talk about cargo volume. So behind those third row seats, you have 15 cubic feet of cargo volume. Those rear seats are 50-50 split, and the second row is a 60-40 split. Folding all the seats down, you're looking at 90 cubic feet overall, which is a massive amount of space. So as far as the cargo volume goes in this vehicle, you have 15 cubic feet of cargo volume back here. Compared to other vehicles in this category, like the Atlas, you're looking at 20.6 cubic feet. The Palisade has 18 cubic feet behind the third row. The Durango has 17.2 cubic feet. And the Pathfinder has 16.2 cubic feet. So if cargo volume behind the third row is something that's super important to you, that could be a deal breaker. But again, it's up to you. So under the hood is a 3.5 liter direct injection V6 engine. This pushes 290 horsepower, 267 foot-pounds of torque, is matched up to a 9-speed automatic transmission, and has an EPA rating of 19 miles per gallon city and 26 miles per gallon highway. And we'll check what we've been averaging in this thing when we get it out on the road. Now, of course, the MDX can also be had in a hybrid that has a 3-liter V6 engine, matched up obviously to electric motors and a battery pack, with a total combined horsepower of 321 horsepower. All right, so let's check out the rear seats. One of the great things about this vehicle, you can unlock it from the rear door with just a grab of the handle, and the rear seats are easy to access. There is an easy access button right here at the bottom of the seat. You push that in, it folds the back down and pushes the whole thing forward, so it's easy to climb in. Very elegantly. So the first thing you should notice is that's not super easy for me, a 6'1" adult, and I definitely don't fit back here super easily. I can close this, but I can't push it all the way back without hitting my knee. That being said, the kids fit back here okay. You do get cup holders back here. You don't get any other kind of amenities like USB charging or anything. But to get out, it is, again, just one button press that releases that seat to make it easy to get out, which is very important for a family with a 3-row SUV. So here in the second row, it's a bit of a different story. I have plenty of legroom here. I have plenty of headroom here, and it is a nice place to be. I really like these seats, which we'll talk more about the seats when we move up to the front, but they are just as nice back here as they are up front. Now you do have your choice of a bench third row, which we have here, which will allow this to hold 7 passengers, or you can get 2 captain's chairs with a console in the middle, and that brings us down to a 6-passenger SUV. As far as tech goes, here in the back, you do get 2 USB ports here for charging, and you do get your own AC controls. All right, so let's move up to the front. All right, now that that's over, let's check out these front seats and really get into the interior of this vehicle. All right, so let's first talk about this interior. First off, Acura said this was inspired by the NSX. Now, I haven't driven the NSX, I haven't been in the NSX, so I couldn't tell you one way or the other if this feels like sitting in the NSX, but it is a nice sporty interior for an SUV. Now, one of the things you do get are these red leather with black suede seats. And no matter what you think about the looks of them, they're definitely comfortable, but I think they look good. You also get nice suede and leather with contrast stitching here on the doors, as well as the center console. Now in some of the trim levels, you can get nice wood accent. This A-Spec, though, has these cool carbon fiber looking weaved accents. The center console here has a nice design. It is flexible on its configuration. You can keep this closed, a little cubby down here that holds a lot of your stuff. You have a sliding lid if you need that extra arm space, or you can slide it back. And you have an extra little cubby here, and then obviously way back into the back of this lower cubby right here. You do have a tri-zone climate control, so you can set the driver's temp, the passenger's temp, and the rear temp all separately. And last but certainly not least, you have memory seats here. So you do have a 2-position memory seat, which is pretty easy to set and comes in handy for family vehicles for sure. All right, and with that, let's talk about some of the tech in this car, starting out with what Acura dubs the Command Center 2.0. All right, and as you've already seen me playing with, you do have a 2-screen setup in this vehicle. The top screen is controlled completely by the controls down here, and this screen is a touch screen. Now they are both 8-inch screens, but you can already see the difference in quality between the top screen and lower screen just on this video. It looks like it's burnt up here in the corner, but that's just from this video. You don't see that with your own eyes, and obviously that flickers because of the frame rates of the camera, but the bottom screen is definitely a higher quality. So again, the bottom screen, you've got a lot of controls with your AC. You can have audio controls here on your bottom screen, and then your top screen will show your navigation. It will also show if you have a smartphone plugged in, which I already unplugged mine, but you saw that earlier. And you can also have your trip information up here if that's something that you're interested in looking at. The biggest thing to note here is that this one is a touchscreen and will have most of the stuff you're going to mess with, and this one is not a touchscreen, needs to be controlled down here, and does less stuff. So obviously, like I've already shown, you do have navigation here with real traffic. It's a pretty good system. I've used it a few times this week and have no complaints. You also get Bluetooth streaming, and you can do Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which again, you've already seen Apple CarPlay on here. When you are playing that music, you do have a 10-speaker ELS Studio Premium audio system, and it sounds really good in this vehicle. So one of the things you do get in here, much like other Acura vehicles, is the electronic shifter. So to park, you click the park button. To reverse, you pull back on the reverse. neutral, push down, drive, push down. You get dynamic mode select, which we'll talk about as we drive, and of course an on-off button for your engine idle. Let's throw it in reverse and you'll see that we do have a backup camera with line guidance. You do not get a 360 camera in this spec, but you can get a 360 camera in the upper specs. And if you know anything about me and seen the reviews that I've done here, I really like those 360 cameras, especially in bigger SUVs like this. This isn't a hard vehicle to park, but I love having that peace of mind of knowing that you're in the lines, that you're pulled up far enough, and so forth. It's just nice to know and have those cameras available. And for a luxury vehicle that's more expensive, I would definitely prefer to have that. All right, guys, with that, let me mount this camera and we're going to take it for a drive and talk about how it drives. So again, you got your electronic gear shifter, put it into drive, and let's go. So while doing my research on this vehicle, I did see that Acura dubs this having supercar handling in a luxury SUV. And while this does have really good handling for an SUV, I don't know if I would call it supercar handling. Now, obviously, you do have drive modes. You have a normal, a sport, and a comfort. I pretty much normally drive in the comfort, but you can put it into sport and really wake up that 290 horsepower under the hood. You also get Acura's SH all-wheel drive, which stands for Super Handling All-Wheel Drive. This is a really good system, and I like that they call it Super Handling All-Wheel Drive because it's not an all-wheel drive made for off-roading or anything like that. This is all-wheel drive made for handling on the road, and it's always on, and it's really good. Having it in a large 3-row SUV can be debated if that's worth it or not, but there's no denying that it is good. So it's not super quick, but it'll get up and go if you really need it to. It makes decent noise, not great noise, even though you got that special exhaust system. So it is a nice handling and impressive performing vehicle. I'm still not as impressed as I was with the RDX. I thought it was a lot better as a sport SUV. But of course, with that, you would lose a lot of space and obviously the third row. So it really comes down to what you're trying to get out of an SUV. And for that, let's pull over, park, and talk about the trim levels, the price, and the competition. So there are a couple of different setups that you can get in here. You can get the front wheel drive. You can get the all-wheel drive with that SH all-wheel drive, the super handling all-wheel drive that we talked about while we were driving. Or you can get the sport hybrid with that SH all-wheel drive. And it all depends on what trim you're looking at. So let's talk about the trims. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the trims and the prices. First of all, you have the base trim, the standard, which has a base MSRP of $44,500. Next, you get the technology package, which has a base price of $49,500. And then the A-Spec package, which is what we're driving here, for $55,000 base. From there, you can jump up to the advanced package, and that has a base price of $56,250. Just above that is the entertainment package with a base price of $53,500. Acura also just announced a whole new trim called the PMC edition. And PMC stands for Performance Manufacturing Center. This is where the NSX is built in Alabama, and they are building a select 330 versions of the MDX in that factory. So these are going to be 330 individually numbered vehicles, 300 for the US market and 30 for the Canadian market. So if you're really into Acura and you're really into special editions, that's something worth checking out. Base price on that is suggested at $63,745. Of course, with all special editions, it'll probably be a lot more than that. So that's all the trims and prices you could get. Let's talk about this one specifically and what it costs. So this is the A-Spec all-wheel drive Really, the only option that's added to this is a $400 premium exterior paint color, which is that blue pearl that we talked about earlier, which is a really good looking paint on this vehicle. And you have a $995 destination charge. So our total MSRP here is $56,295. Is that worth it? Well, let's talk about the competition to see what we think. Really, it breaks down to two different categories. Are you looking at a 3-row SUV, or are you looking at a performance luxury SUV? If you're going for 3-row SUVs, you're looking at stuff like the Volkswagen Atlas, which I think is one of the best bang for the buck 3-row SUVs on the market. You can also be looking at the all-new Hyundai Palisade and Kia Telluride, which for the money are fantastic vehicles. Obviously, you also have the Nissan Pathfinder, and the one vehicle that straddles both of these lines just as well as this one is the Dodge Durango. Now, of course, really competing with this is a hugely saturated market. You could also be looking at the Ford Explorer, the Mazda CX-9, the Volkswagen Tiguan, or the Subaru Ascent, as well as probably a lot more that I'm just not thinking of. If you're looking at sport SUVs and you still want the 3-row, like I said, that Dodge Durango is still an excellent choice. Other than that, you're gonna have to jump up to higher dollar amounts like the Audi Q7, the BMW X7, even the Tesla Model X. If you're just looking for a sport SUV and you don't really care about that 3rd row, then even more come into play, including the Mercedes GLC, the BMW X4, the Jaguar F-Pace, the Porsche Macan, and the Alfa Romeo Stelvio. So like I said, it's a very saturated market. There's a lot, and it really depends on if you're really looking for 3 rows or you're just looking for a sporty, luxurious SUV, and of course, what kind of money you're willing to spend on it. For me personally, I would be looking at this only because it had 3 rows, and because it has 3 rows, I don't really care about its performance as much, and I would be looking at obviously the Volkswagen Atlas, like I mentioned before, or the Hyundai Palisade or Kia Telluride. And if I was looking at this for the sportiness of it, I actually really like the RDX better, or of course having a Hemi V8 under the hood with the Dodge Durango would be better options in my opinion. All right guys, and with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the Acura MDX, especially this A-Spec model. And as always, thanks for watching guys.